Good morning. So happy to see you all here today, and happy to see all those online. I'm Jocelyn Keith Asante, your current board president. I'm a lifelong Unitarian Universalist. I was born Jewish, and I'm now exploring my Judaism. Welcome to all who have been here a long time, to those who are early in their journey, and to those who are here for the first time. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your faith, doubt, or searching, you are welcome here. We gather as a Unitarian Universalist community to grow in wisdom, to live our responsibility covenant with care, taking responsibility, invite personal transformation while striving to be good ancestors, as we act together for a just and sustainable world. We are on Treaty 7 lands, traditional and ancestral home of the Blackfoot Confederacy, consisting of the Piikani, Amski-Piikani, Siksika, and Kainai nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina and the Ayaka Nakota nations, which include the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations. Calgary is also part of the Otipemisiwak Districts 5 and 6, as is home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge the original peoples where our partner, the American Universalists founder, landed on Turtle Island. On page 31 of Our Chosen Faith, it's a very good book, tells us that John Murray landed on the New Jersey coast in 1770. He became the founder of the American Universalists, who merged with the American Unitarians in 1961. Calgary Unitarians is working towards deepening our relationship with our neighboring communities, including the Aboriginal Friendship Centers of Calgary, as we provide opportunities for all to gather, to grow in wisdom, welcome and deepen relationships, and act for a just and sustainable world. And now it's time for our chalice lighting.
Hello. In the words of Anastasia Birosh, we come together to lament with, celebrate with, and care for one another in our community and our world. Love is not only at the center, but also the opening that invites us to lament, celebrate, and care. Hosea Ballou, an 18th century Universalist, tells us, if we agree in love, no disagreement can do us any harm. If we do not agree in love, no other agreement can do us any good. Love invites us to worship together.
Good morning. Ooh, it's good to see you all here. The weather outside has got me feeling like it's summer, like maybe in the mood for barbecues. And so my joke today is a little bit in that vein, and it's probably one many of you have heard, but why not revisit something for nostalgia? And why did the hamburger get embarrassed at the barbecue? Because it saw the salad dressing. My name is Rachel Smith. I am the Director of Religious Education here at Calgary Unitarians. My pronouns are she and they. And today I wanted to jump right back into another song with all of you. Ali Halpert is a queer Jewish musician who had put out an album with this song on it. And when asked about what the intention with her music is generally, she said, "I think the main purpose of this music is to reach people who feel numb or hopeless or powerless about the way that the world is right now. I know a lot of people who are really struggling, and I think it's easy to feel like our struggles are individual when they're not. Oppression and racism and classism and anti-Semitism are the reasons we're struggling, among lots of other kinds of oppression." And I thought that is exactly what is out there in the world, what feels like right now, maybe all the time. And the folks who are doing the rest of the service have some cool things for you, like meditation and some reflections. And I thought maybe a good thing to do would be to get into our bodies for those experiences. And so first, I want you to have a little bit of fun with me. There's lots of choir people here. Anybody remember the movie High School Musical? There might be one of you. There's three even. There's Sharpay and, now I can't remember her brother's name. But anyway, they do this really fun and really kind of get their bodies ready to sing. So I'm wondering if you would do some silly little exercises with me, give a little wiggle your body as best you can wherever you're sitting. Yeah, really get into it. And then another one of my instructors taught me in school a long time ago. She brought this one from a conference she went to. She called it the breath of joy. So wherever you are, as you're able, it's just kind of like three little inhales to get yourself hyped up. You might want to yawn after it. It might kind of trigger that reflex, but a little wonderful. Y'all are getting into your bodies. I love this. Is anyone familiar with this song? Yeah? You might have heard it. I think I've heard it around here once or twice. It's part of a much larger song. We're going to focus on this part, and I think we can do it a bit as a round. I'm going to see if I can help everybody be in the round. But it goes, "Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go." See, you know this one. Let's sing it again all together, and then we'll maybe divide into half. I'll start with this side, and then we'll get the next side going with the rest of it. But let's sing it all together to start. "Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go." All right, let's see if I can get you in and around here. "Loosen, loosen, baby, loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, baby. Feel it right down here. Let it belt. To carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. And if we could all join together and really feel that, feel yourself getting into your body and getting just like relaxed to listen to the next folks. Let's belt it maybe 2 more times, all together. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. And give yourselves a hand of applause. That was so wonderful. And now I would like to invite the children to come downstairs with me for some programming. I think we're going to just go check out the mural on the other side of the building. I think that a few of them haven't seen it yet. So if you would, be so kind as to help me sing them downstairs.
There. All right. The offering. Our congregation is entirely self-governed by a democratic process. We may be one of the last groups to do that as things are going. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. Our For Others recipient this month is the Sharing Our Faith program at the Canadian Unitarian Council, a fund that helps Unitarian Universalist communities across Canada grow, experiment, and reach beyond what is familiar or comfortable. This is a fund that has assisted our congregation in the past when we've needed funding for projects. If this is where you'd like to direct your offering, please indicate For Others in the memo line of the envelope or in your e-transfer. First-time visitors, please let the basket pass you by, as your presence is a gift for all of us. After the basket has passed you by, if you wish, please come forward to light a candle at either one of our sconces at the side, or to drop a pebble in our communal water, in honor of a joy or sorrow you are carrying in your heart. You're now invited to participate in the blessing of giving. It is a blessing, as the ushers collect the offering.
bonds that bind our lives one to another, affirming that what touches the life of one of us affects all of us. In these moments, we seek to widen our caring ministry by sharing the joys, sorrows, and milestones in our own lives and in the life of our congregation. Lynn lights one candle in honor of all the joys that are resting on our hearts, whether they be the delight in the smile of a loved one, a promotion at work, or a milestone in the lives of our loved ones. Lynn is now lighting a candle in honor of the sorrows that we hold on our hearts. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, our struggles with mental health, mobility, addiction, or housing. And lastly, Lynn lights a final candle in honor of global concern today for the wars that plague our world in Asia, Middle East, and in Africa and other places. And in close to us, but still global, mass deportations that have put us on edge. May all that has been shared here strengthen and renew the bonds of this beloved community.
We'll now enter into a time of quiet reflection, beginning with a reading, followed by 2 minutes of silence. Excuse me. Matthew will bring us out of the silence by playing 352 and our gray hymnal, Find a Stillness. Sing along at that time if you wish, or just let the music wash over you. Our words this morning are adapted from Deanna Van Diver and Lisa Doge. Throughout our time, our Unitarian Universalist faith tradition has held a thread of clarity. How we relate to each other creates the conditions of hell or heaven on this earth. We may not know or agree upon what lies beyond this life, but it's our conviction that our actions, our inactions, have consequences for the web of all existence. We do not place our hope for salvation in what happens after death. We find our salvation here on earth, showing up for each other with mercy, respect, and compassion. Love, according to our Universalist forebears, is the thing that holds us. In all our holy human perfection and all our human brokenness, love holds us. As a people of faith, we are called to a love that is bold, to love beyond our skill and through our fear with courage and compassion. Our faith does not require that we be unafraid, only that we do not lead with fear or make our decisions based from a place of fear. Our presence matters. How we relate to each other creates the conditions of heaven or hell here on earth. May we remember and affirm that we are all in this together. Keep love at the center. Love holds us. Well, I hope Rachel's exercise that she had us do got everybody in their bodies for a couple of minutes of silence. I know sometimes that's a little challenging to be still for 2 minutes. So, Unitarian Universalism, what's in a name? We're the Unitarian Church of Calgary. We refer to ourselves as the Calgary Unitarians. Our national association is the Canadian Unitarian Council. Yet our faith tradition is Unitarian Universalism. Why is Universalism absent in our names? Are some of you confused by this? If you're new here, you might be wondering. I know I was when I explored the history of my chosen faith tradition. But I hope to give you some background and a little bit of insight into Universalist history this morning. And Jocelyn and I will both lift up the history and the gifts of the Universalist part of our faith, and acknowledge how the contribution of Universalism centers us in our hearts and helps us ground in our social justice action in the world. I'm indebted to Richard Trudeau, the author of Universalism 101, for much of this history and theology that I'm sharing with you this morning. We'll be speaking about the experience of Unitarians and Universalists in North America. So that's the history that I'm talking about today. In addition, UU minister Reverend Mark Morrison-Reed notes that the roots of Canadian Universalism and Canadian Unitarianism are quite different from those in the United States, with Canadian roots being loyalist, English, Scottish, Irish, and Icelandic. We had quite a strong Icelandic presence in our faith. Canada, having a smaller and more scattered population, relied on the US for ministers and for institutional support, and we were greatly influenced and supported by the Americans, but we had our differences as well. Now, the two separate faith traditions, as Jocelyn mentioned earlier, the Unitarians and the Universalists, consolidated in 1961. We are the Unitarian Church of Calgary because we were started by Unitarians initially in 1911. So, the Unitarians and the Universalists joined together because they had much in common. Both were about freedom, reason, and tolerance in religion. When these two organizations combined, the Unitarians at the time outnumbered the Universalists 5-1. But despite their small numbers, the Universalist centrality of love and their affirmation of faith, and the one I'm quoting right now is from their Universalist 1935 affirmation of faith. And what they talk about is the supreme worth of every human personality. Now, this may have a ring of familiarity to us. Think of the first principle in Unitarian Universalism, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We affirm that. And this is almost a direct quote from the Universalists. God loves everyone, and thus we are all worthy, the Universalists said. Now, some of you are having trouble with the word God, and some of you find it meaningful. So what I'm going to suggest is if the word God does not resonate with you in your experience, do a substitution in your mind for that which is greater than all. Nature, universe, divine, spirit of life, goddess. There are many names. God's love is universal. Whatever name you use, this has become one of the defining characteristics of Unitarian Universalism. While the Unitarians historically came from the more educated strata and tended to approach religion intellectually, Universalism comes from the heart and came from 18th century itinerant, self-educated preachers who studied the Christian Bible, and they saw that the theology of the day was not supported biblically. They found a God of love in those pages and wanted to share that with all those folks who lived in fear of eternal damnation. So the basic tenets of Universalism were: God is love, no one is condemned, the way to be happy is to do good, and there are sources of religious truth outside the Christian tradition. I mean, this was radical stuff in those days. So first of all, God is love. Universalism in North America was born in the early 18th century at a time when the vast majority of the settler population were Protestant Christians. The biblical statement, God is love, was core to the Universalists and is found in the book of John in the Christian New Testament. If God is love, the Universalists said, then God loves everyone and no one is condemned. So that brings us to the second tenet: no one is condemned. This was a response to the majority view of the time that most of us were destined for hellfire and damnation. Mainstream Christianity viewed God as having turned away from humanity because of human sin, and God sent his son Jesus to be sacrificed to atone for this sin. Only a chosen few would go to heaven. I mean, it was a really pessimistic view. Universalists, on the other hand, held the radical and optimistic belief that God sent a human being, Jesus, not to pay a price, but to remind all humans of God's love. This view that Jesus was a human being, an exemplary spiritual teacher, healer, and prophet, and not actually God, was a Unitarian perspective before those who became known as Unitarians separated from the mainstream Trinitarian Christianity of their day. And I won't go into Trinitarian and Unitarian theology, I'll spare you, but if you're curious, you can ask me later. Now, there's a story about Hosea Ballou, one of the founders of Universalism in America. Hosea met up with a Baptist preacher. They were both on horseback doing their rounds, preaching to folks. The Baptist was shocked to learn that Universalism didn't believe in a God who would condemn people to eternal hellfire. Why, if I were a Universalist, the Baptist said, I could knock you over the head, right off with your money and horse, and have nothing to worry about. If you were a Universalist, Ballou replied, the thought would never occur to you. Okay. So the third tenet, the way to be happy is to do good. Universalists believed that human nature is such that doing good is deeply satisfying. Good works benefit the person doing them as well as the person receiving. The reward for doing good is not salvation in a possible next life, but happiness in this one. Oops, I've got my pages mixed up here. We got to get to our, here we go. The fourth, which is the sources of religious truth outside. There are sources of religious truth outside of the Christian tradition. So Unitarians and Universalists came to this independently. A few Unitarians explored other sources of religious truth in the 1830s and 40s, and this was called the Transcendentalist movement. They were criticized at the time by the main body of Unitarians, but interestingly, we now venerate many of them. Think of Ralph Waldo Emerson, Thoreau. There's quite a number of them that we hold in high esteem. For the Universalists, this piece of their theology was a corollary to God's love being universal. God is love. Mainstream Christianity's belief at the time, and it still is in some quarters, that no matter what good works are done, if someone is not of the Christian faith, they are doomed. Universalists held, if God is love, that means God loves everyone, and it follows from this that exemplary teachers and other traditions are sources of religious truth as well. As a Unitarian Universalist, I'm drawn to this tradition where we hold the importance of both critical thinking and listening to our hearts. My overview of Universalist history is not intended to denigrate the intellectual side, our Unitarian side, but rather to lift up and let shine our less well-known Universalist side. I hope it's enriched your understanding of our faith tradition. Now, before we go on to Jocelyn's reflection, we're going to take 5 or 6 minutes. I'll ask you to find someone, could be the person sitting next to you, somewhere else in the room here, and just, we've got a question, how important it is, do you believe it is, to know the history of Universalism? And you could also, if that question isn't grabbing you, just chat a little bit about what surprised you in the history we've shared this morning, what resonated with you. For those of you online, I hope you'll take this time just to do your own little reflection about what I've just shared with you, and then we will come back to Jocelyn's reflection in about 5 or 6 minutes. I'll let you know when your visiting time is up here. I kind of hate to interrupt all of this discussion that's going on here, but we're now ready to hear from Jocelyn. So Jocelyn will come forward and we'll have her reflection.
Thank you, Lynn. Thanks, everybody. It sounded like there were some very wonderful discussions going on. That's terrific. That was our hope. So why is knowing our Universalist history important? As you learned from Lynn's reflection, that the American Unitarian Association and the Universalist Church of America consolidated in 1961. So slide 2. The key guiding values and beliefs of the AUA in the Unitarian Association in the 40s and 50s included intellectual freedom and reason, rejection of the Trinity and original sin, individualism and congregational polity, congregational governance, self-governance, social justice and ethical action, salvation through character. Rising influence of religious humanism also occurred at the time. Slide 3. The pre-consolidation Universalist Church of America's principles. They avowed faith in God as eternal and an all-conquering love, the spiritual leadership of Jesus, the supreme worth and dignity of every personality, the authority of truth, the power of men of goodwill and sacrificial spirit, and no creedal test. Immediately prior to the merger, the two faiths agreed on a free faith that emphasized search for truth, a free and disciplined search for truth, universal truths, cherishing truths taught by great prophets to love God and man, human dignity, affirming the worth of every person and democracy in human relations, world community, striving for a world community with peace and justice. In slide 4, those agreements were adopted after an all-day, all-night negotiation and debate in 1961. Wouldn't you have loved to be a fly on that wall or part of the discussion? I think most of us would. They synthesized to the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And this is we are all covenant to affirm that, remember, at the beginning. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. All resonate with us here because those are our principles. The 7 principles. I'll get to the 8th one in a minute. In 1984, they added spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Slide 5. In 2021, the Canadian Unitarian Council and the Calgary Unitarians in 2022 adopted the 8th principle. We, the member congregations of the Canadian Unitarian Council and Calgary Unitarians, covenant to affirm and promote individual and communal action that accountably dismantles racism and systemic barriers to full inclusion in ourselves and our institutions. And that was adopted unanimously here in Calgary. And I think it was 98% and 99% in the CUC. In slide 6, in 2024, the 8th principle prior to 2024 was introduced by the Black Lives of UU, BLUU, to the Unitarian Universalist Association in the USA. It was not adopted. Instead, a reworking of the 7 principles and purposes saw the creation of this graphic, where each petal has a text description. For instance, justice, I don't have them all there because they got rid of a lot of the words in that first graphic, the words they have below in any kind of the written documents. Justice, we covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make a decision within our congregations, our association, and society at large. So they did embed the eighth principle in the description of justice. Without the consolidation of the Universalists and Unitarians, the Unitarian Universalist in the US and Canada would not have had the original 7 principles to explain our guiding values. Universalism in the United States of America. The founder, John Murray, who did land in New Jersey, as I said, and the original peoples of New Jersey consisted our state-recognized Nanakot Lenni Lenape Tribal Nation, Rampro Lenni Napi Nation, Powhatan Lenni Napi Nation, and a few are the overall Delaware Indians, they're called by the federal government. Still have small holdings in the state and do continue to do their work of being the wise ones and sort of the group that people come to for help and wisdom. He traveled, John Murray, who had been a Universalist through thought, convert, preacher, traveled from England and landed in New Jersey. He met Thomas Potter, who had built a chapel, set it aside, open to all sects. He was waiting for a more inclusive and hopeful preaching of the gospel than the Calvinists. Murray discovered that ordinary Americans were receptive to his positive message. He organized the first Universalist church in America in 1779 in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Slide 7. Universalists were the first to preach Unitarian doctrine in a short form, Jesus isn't God, in 1805. People who would eventually become Unitarians were still part of the Congregationalist church at that time. Child dedications, we credit Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing for modifying baptism. Rather than emphasizing washing away original sin, remind parents of the great ends for which a human life is given. However, Universalist John Murray was doing this 36 years prior to Channing, and even used the term dedication. Universalists were the second denomination after the Quakers to pass an anti-slavery resolution. Channing's first anti-slavery sermon was 31 years later, and the Unitarians never did pass a resolution on record opposing slavery. Some wealthier members had business interests that depended on the labor of slaves. Economics sometimes trumps equity, most times. In honor of Black History Month, we thank the Universalists for adding their strong anti-oppression values to the Unitarian Universalists, and to the Black lives of UU who inspired us to have an 8th principle in Canada, and a descriptive petal in the new UUA Article 2 graphic, encouraging us to accountably dismantle racism in ourselves and our institutions. Slide 8. You all remember the flip chart that Pamela put out, and you all checked all the things you have done over the year. This is individual and communal action that accountably dismantles racism and systemic barriers. As you can see in the green are Indigenous awareness events that many people in this congregation have attended and learned from. In the blue are multicultural education, for instance, newcomers to Calgary. Many things that people have done in this congregation. The orange is the LGBTQ plus awareness that we will be growing as time goes by. And in the bottom corner, the dark blue, are the folks that have completed our 8th principle, level 1, which is removing racism in ourselves, so learning about anti-racism. It's a base to start from, where you can go on to level 2 and learn about why we are who we are. White supremacy culture has so many aspects that we embody, because that's how we were raised, and it's really good to learn what they are so that we can maybe change and find out that there's not maybe only one way to do things. And there's either right or wrong. There are always many, many aspects. And all of the antidotes to learning these concepts are building relationships and community. So it's a good repetition reminder. And slide 9, resources. You've heard us talk about Universalism 101. There's a great book by Richard Trudeau. Highly recommend that book. Also, A Chosen Faith by John A. Buens and Forest Church. Terrific information in there. If you want to look into the Unitarian Universalist Association Article 2, there's a QR code for that, and the Canadian Unitarian Council 8th Principle. And there's a QR code for that. Thank you very much.
Our closing words are from the Reverend Cheryl M. Walker, one of the co-chairs of the American Association, the UUA Article 2 Committee. This is the team who created the flower petal graphic with love at the center. Her words call us to love, to action, and to faith for our Unitarian Universalist future together. In her words, "My work, my calling, is to help our people and our faith live up to the promise that I believed it offered when I came into this faith so many years ago. It was the promise of loving communities of faith that embraced and celebrated all of our differences and recognized the beauty and spark of the holy in each and every person. It's why I came into this faith, why I stay in this faith, why I answer the call to ministry, and why I hope that one day we shall be who we profess to be. We are not there yet, but the journey is not over." An extraterrestrial voice? Yeah. As Jocelyn extinguishes the chalice, or as Lynn extinguishes the chalice, we've had some changes of plan this morning. Take a spark of its light into your heart and bring it with you into the world. Thank you to everyone who made this service possible. It takes many hands to create our services. Please be sure to join us next week when Reverend Samaya will be speaking on carrying and letting go, making space for radical inclusion. And stay and enjoy the postlude Matthew has prepared. He works hard. We need to recognize that. Yeah. We hope you will join us also for coffee in Wigandon, the room straight through the Barker room where you saw the membership table. If any of you are able to stay for a few minutes after the postlude to move a few chairs for the dance church setup, Nadia would greatly appreciate it. Yes, lots of chairs, lots of space needed. And now let's take a moment and wave to those who have joined us online. Hey, Zoom, or whatever has replaced it. Okay, and the postlude.